Over the past 2 years, I've spent a weird amount of time around extremely exceptional people. I'm talking 7, 8 figure founders, athletes, musicians, people who have had massive social impact on the world, artists, creatives, people who have written best-selling books, all the things. Incredibly talented people. And every time I leave those environments around them, I leave with this unsettling feeling. But the feeling is not intimidation or jealousy or what you might expect. Actually, it's probably really unexpected and something that has been a pattern every single time I'm in these environments. So that I wanted to talk about it today. It has greatly shaped the way that I perceive humans, the world, and the way that I approach life. And I know it's going to have an impact on the way you see yourself too. So let's get into it. Hello, my name is Denée. Thank you so much for giving me a little piece of your time today. If you're new here and you're watching on YouTube, by the way, you can also listen on Spotify. It's always linked in the description. So 95% of the time when I've been in these environments, I'm either the friend of the exceptional person that's just tagging along or with them to support them at an event, or I'm a friend of a friend. So I'm in the entourage. And because of this, I have a front row seat to how people perceive them. There'll often be lineups of people waiting to speak to them, take a picture with them, say hi, have a conversation, ask for advice, all that sort of thing. And this is such an interesting perspective to have because I get to see this exceptional person that people are looking up to in their regular everyday environment, brushing their teeth in the morning or having a dinner after the event or whatever it is. But having this front row seat has allowed me to see the kind of energy of the people that really look up to them without them having to say a word. You can see how much they've mythologized this person. They put themselves here and put these people way above them. Even in the way that they word questions that they might ask, whether they're asking for advice or whatever, you can tell that they believe that this person has something that they don't, that they've been chosen, or that they're less insecure, or that they're more confident, or that they have just something that they don't. But because I get to spend the day to day with these exceptional people, I know that a lot of these beliefs that people create about them are just not true. They are just as nervous before they get on stage and do that TED Talk or go and talk about their best-selling book on the podcast, or before they go and compete or share their music with the world. They ask for advice too, even from me, from people that you might not think they care to seek advice from. They overthink, and ultimately, they are human. Greatness, in whatever capacity they achieved it, does not erase their humanity. So in this pattern recognition and seeing how people come up to them and ask them questions and perceive them and mythologize them, and then seeing the quote greats in their day-to-day life just literally being human in a way that a lot of people wouldn't imagine, I asked myself, so what is the difference between us then? Really? Like, what is the difference if these greats are experiencing the same emotions? And the answer is that the difference is smaller than most people think. The people that you look up to, mythologize, all the things, they are not a different species. My proximity to these people immediately broke the illusion. And I will be honest and say that I've never really been a quote fan. I've never really had a person or artist or business person or musician or something that I really looked up to where it's like, oh my goodness, I need to meet them. I don't even know how to act around them. I honestly cannot relate to that, but I can relate to sort of separating myself from people who have achieved objectively great things. And in destroying that illusion and seeing the pattern every time I would go to these events and see people interact with these people and just see them in the day-to-day, it made me realize that this illusion kind of allows you to create an emotional distance from the life that you want. Because in a way, pedestalizing people, it protects your ego. Because if, quote, successful people, and you have your own definition of what that is, if successful people are different, are separate, are far from you, then you never have to confront who you are and your own hesitations. That's the hard part. Doing the thing, the discipline required to achieve the thing, and the relentlessness, the grit, all of that is on the other side of you confronting the lack of belief in yourself and just giving yourself permission to try. It's on the other side of that. And once you unlock that and you give yourself one little loop of confidence and another loop of confidence, it gets easier and easier. And then you get into more rooms and that fast tracks things and the compounding effect starts to work in your favor. But when you pedestalize people and you separate yourself and you create a lot of distance and you tell yourself that they're different, it gives you permission to never try. The most important but equally scary realization you can have in this life is that exceptional people are just ordinary people who gave themselves permission. How they got there is the differentiator, right? So some people grew up in great homes or in homes where there was more money, all of which maybe allowed them to give themselves permission earlier. But that doesn't mean that you, in your current position, that might be different, can't give yourself permission. And a lot of people will hold on to the differences of when and how they give themselves permission. Once I divorced myself from my marriage to my victimhood and realized I can simply give self permission now, I quite literally changed my life, so much so that now my proximity to people who have achieved the things that I would like to achieve one day that I thought were so far away and went from here to here. I'm literally friends with them. Therefore, in my mind, my ability to accomplish the thing, it's not even a question. It's like, oh yeah, it's going to happen. I just don't know when. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's how I'm fast tracking this or doing that. And it's purely because I gave myself permission, which then just allowed me to will everything else into existence. And your environment has a lot to do with this. If you're wondering, in the 2 years, I moved from my small town in Brampton, Ontario, Canada, to London, United Kingdom, all by myself. My next video is I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into the importance of changing your environment. But what I'll say now is that literally where you are physically will shape who you are. Ambitious environments will breed more ambition. Fearful environments will breed more fear. That doesn't mean that you can't be the black sheep and have ambition in a place that isn't ambitious, but chipping the barrier down will be much slower and harder because there's a lot of subconscious layers that are difficult to fight through in that physical environment. Because your subconscious mind is constantly collecting evidence on who you are and what you can aspire to be, what you can become. And on that note of changing environment, even if it's not a full move across the country or across the world, a short trip can completely change your self-perception. And that's why I'm so excited to be hosting a women's retreat this year, September 2026 in Portugal. It is called Phones Down, Vibes Up. It's going to be a 5-day retreat where we'll have intentional moments off screen. I'll be hosting workshops every single day in regards to mindset, self-development, and also a freelancing masterclass where I share how I've never worked a corporate job, built a multi-six-figure freelance business in 18 months. We're going to be doing cooking class, ceramics, a beach day, in a new environment that's going to inspire you around strangers that you likely share values with if you both love listening to or watching me, which will likely give you that extra push to reinvent yourself and let that version of you that you've been hiding inside just emerge, because the people that you're going to be surrounded by won't know anything about you and hold you to old versions of yourself. They're only around 18 spots and they're filling fast. You can find all the information, including the payment plans and all that stuff, at the link in the description. I'm so excited and I would love to see you there. But anyways, back to the meat of the video. Before I made the move to physically change my environment and move across the world, I was relentless with what I would allow in my mind. If I saw a video, a TikTok, I was in-person conversation that was even slightly counterintuitive or what I call low vibrational in terms of what it made me believe about myself and what I've accomplished and do, I would swipe away, leave the conversation, exit fast. I made it a conscious decision in my life from a very young age to aggressively protect my subconscious mind. And people might call it toxic positivity. I have not seen any negative outcomes for it. Therefore, I will continue to lean into it. It could be something as small as listening to someone be like, oh yeah, I'm going to die. I'm never going to be able to afford a house. Immediately, if I can't physically leave the conversation, I turn the brain off. I'm not allowing that to enter my subconscious mind because I know that I will buy a house one day, the house of my dreams. And I'm going to do everything I can in my power to do that. I don't care what the quote average statistics are or how disillusioned and nihilistic the people in the conversation are feeling. And if I have those moments in my mind where things are down 1 month, I immediately create a counterpoint in my head. To me, the fact that I'm alive, I'm a human right now in this specific time in the world is already a miracle. But then I think back to how I'm physically here right now. The fact that my mom died, my dad was in jail, I was going to be an orphan, then I got adopted. The couple that adopted me was long distance living in Canada and the United States, and they had to come together in the specific city in Canada so they could meet the person that would introduce them to my dying mom, who would ask for someone to take care of her kids, and then they would adopt me, and that same week they meet her, she ends up dying. You likely can't relate to this specific story, but it's like, what are the odds of you being here and being alive now? It always comes back to that for me, and that allows me to make full use of this opportunity? Why not think positively? Why not believe that I can and will do? Amidst all of that, I'm blessed that the family that I was then adopted into told me that I was special, And then I created a storyline, the one I just explained to you, that reinforced that I was special. Because there's a version of me who could take that same exact storyline and be like, yeah, so I was doomed from the start and I was adopted and I never really felt like I fit in and it was really difficult to be without my biological family and I dealt with a lot of mental health. I could flip that story completely. But I've chosen, thankfully, growing up in a family that's telling me I'm special, to create a storyline that tells me I'm special. And I believe that that is what living with gratitude actually is. And living with gratitude will change how you see the world and therefore will change your reality. On that point of you being special, even though I don't know you, I'm not just saying that I think you're special. I truly believe that each and every human is special. And I think the best way to articulate this is a beautiful tweet by Bonesaw MD. You already know this is a Bonesaw MD Stan account. I think I probably bring up one of their Substack articles or tweets in almost every video. So I'll put it on screen. They quote tweeted this tweet that says, "Nobody is going to discover your genius if you keep it in your head." And in the quote tweet, they said, "No other human being that has ever existed was born with your exact coordinate in space-time. No single person has experienced the same things you have from your vantage point. Some are further along than others, of course, but you have genius in the recesses of your mind. The time it takes you to do this is secondary. Your primary task is to figure out how you can articulate it in a way that is coherent with your vessel. Nobody else will ever be able to do this like you can." So well said, and this is something I stand on. Your unique life experiences, no matter how small or insignificant they are, can and are unique insofar as what you can do with them. The exact time, space, environment, people, day-to-day life that you lived has shaped how you are perceiving the world. It's literally the projection of how you're seeing the world, which will shape how you do anything. There are millions of people who are just as great as these people that I referred to in the beginning that will never be seen. Why? Because they're afraid of putting themselves out there. They never allow themselves to actualize their unique way of seeing the world and put it into practice in a way that only they can put it into practice. Only you can tie the bow together. All your unique experiences and the specific things that you've done that led you to this point where you are now. Only you can figure out your genius and relate to the world. And most people never get to that point. The people that we look up to, they've worked through it. They've given permission and then bolted to that point. And then put it out there into the world while you sit afraid of being cringy, afraid of what people might say, afraid of outgrowing people, about having to leave people who you love in an environment that holds you back. Articulating yourself, your genius, what you can create and do, it means you need to be vulnerable. You put yourself on the stake to be judged, to be wrong, to fail. But that's what it takes. And listen, life is hard anyways. You're going to be judged. You're going to fail regardless. So might as well go for it. Your uniqueness is not optional. You already have the uniqueness. You already are special. I'm not being ironic here. I'm being dead ass. Like, you are special. I know a lot of you didn't grow up in an environment where people told you that you are great. You can do things. So that's why I'm making this. I am blessed to have been adopted into a family that told me I was special, and then I just went with it. I believed it and I created a storyline around it. I want you to start creating the storyline around you. I'm obsessed with business and I love the Acquired podcast. They just do massive 4-hour-long breakdowns of the biggest businesses, the Coca-Colas and the Rolex and all these companies of the world. And whenever you listen to these stories, you're like, wow, first this person grew up doing newspapers because they were reading the newspaper every day and they understood the newspaper industry. And then they also wanted to make money, so they were able to take more risk. And then there was an opportunity for them to work at this really big newspaper. And then they worked there and they learned a lesson. And then they used that to get them to own this newspaper. And now it's the New York Times. Whenever I listen to these business stories, I'm like, it all makes sense. They were uniquely designed to solve this problem and create this thing. It wasn't just the uniqueness and that they were special in and of itself. It was that they then acted on it and allowed themselves to do. That's what I want you to get away from this today. You are special, but you need to actualize it. You need to make use of your unique genius. And if you don't know what it is, you need to speed run to figure it out. You need to have some urgency in this life. So I repeat, the people that you admire, the people that you look up to, they are deeply human, just like you. There is absolutely no need to mythologize them. And if they're just as deeply human as you building extraordinary lives, maybe life can be just as malleable for you. Maybe you've been holding yourself back because it felt comfortable to. Maybe you've been holding yourself back because you couldn't admit that you have something unique to bring to the world, and maybe it's worth you pursuing and figuring it out. Maybe this is your calling to be a little bit more courageous instead of holding on to the fact that these people are chosen, or it's just not you, or not in this life. Maybe it's better for you to give yourself permission to just do the thing. Maybe it's better for you to have the belief that these people that you pedestalize are just humans making decisions, and you can make similar decisions too. You do not need to become less human before you begin. The exact thing you're running away from that you think you can't be to achieve, to do the thing, is exactly what will allow you to do it. The people that you look up to simply gave themselves permission to fully express themselves, to fully lean in and not stop until they became undeniable. And you can do the same too. We'll talk soon. Bye.